Good evening, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to another episode of Critique Corner with me, Daniel Parker.
And me, DB Fastbinder.
And if you are returning, welcome back. If you're new here, what we've started doing for the last couple of weeks is we'll do our kind of our usual thing of the week, but we're usually pick something that's a little more recent, more newish to review to talk about. Then we get into a little box office talk, and then the two of us will review a classic movie that we have watched recently.
Yeah, we kind of have decided to shift away, at least for the time being, away from the whole culture war. They're ruining our childhood properties. Man, everything is woke talk. Because first off, there's plenty of other sources for that. But
Yes.
also, if you watch just the last year or so, a lot of the time we're going, I think people are being like unfair about this, or
Yeah.
this seems blown out of proportion, or how many of you would have actually been interested in a live action Little Mermaid?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah. So we've decided we want to talk about some things that are a little more fun, and actually, who's we didn't decide which one of us is going first.
No, we didn't. T- I'm still kind of assembling a couple of links, so let me go ahead and start sharing the screen,
All
and you
right.
can go first,
All right. I will go first.
as is our custom.
Yes. So my thing of the week is we're kind of I don't know if the word double dipping is right, but doing a little double I guess a double review here. I watched The Flash, which is now on Max, um, and I'll try not to. I'm not going to go like do a plot by plot blow by blow through with the plots because since DB you watched it when was it the
Opening
opening,
weekend, baby.
yeah, opening weekend, yeah. And I'll put a card up with his review so you can go watch that um if you haven't watched it already, but yeah, so but my thoughts on it are uh it's not a bad movie, I don't think. It's I think my opinion on it is very similar to yours. Um, I enjoyed it for the most part. It kept my interest. Um, story is pretty good, even though it's kind of a diluted version of the Flashpoint uh, storyline.
Right, which Flashpoint was always a weird choice for the first movie or the first Flash movie ever.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they I hate this I hate to say it because I know it might come across as like a generic superhero movie, but they probably should have just done like the Flash versus Eobard Thawne.
Right, that would have made more sense. Or, um, yeah, like just to go fantasy football here for a minute, and
Mhm.
and since today is the first day of fantasy football, or at least I should say the first day of real football games, so people with fantasy football teams can participate.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
y- I mean, so you didn't have to do his origin story because you'd already more or less established him in Justice League and a little bit in Batman v Superman.
Mhm.
So you could have had a thing where he's settled into his role as a hero in Central City. Is that
Yeah, Central City. Yeah.
yeah, in Central City, and like had a you like you could have had a opening sequence where he has to deal with Captain Cold, because
Yeah.
that'd be a good yeah that's a good set piece. Big guy with a big freeze gun. That's always been a good counterpoint to a guy who can move super fast, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then go into the whole Eobard Thawne thing.
Yeah. And I think that probably would have probably been a little more palatable as opposed to doing Flashpoint, although from what I can probably gather, they were trying to use Flashpoint as like a soft reboot for the franchise, and
Right.
of course, then they brought in James Gunn, and he just threw it all out and starting completely over. Um,
Oh, just one last thing. Like 15 years ago, I had this idea. If you did a Flash movie, and nobody has done this as far as I can tell
yeah,
in any comic or movie, but I'm not exhaustively aware of this. Imagine you have the Flash fighting with Reverse Flash,
yeah,
and they have they're like going so fast they're like running along parallel to each other in the water, and they suddenly hit such a level of speed that time seems to literally stop. But like they've made these big waves, right?
hmm
So you suddenly just have them fighting an entirely ordinary speed,
yeah,
using this water, like using the surface of the water like it's semi-solid land.
uh,
Like there's your cool Speed Force set piece,
oh yeah, yeah,
and it would have the benefit that it would actually conceivably be cheaper to shoot because all you have to do is the background.
right, yeah, yeah, that would be cool. Uh, but yeah, so I mean,
Sorry. I keep this movie kept making me want something that wasn't this movie. So
yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I agree too that the only way that Ezra Miller's version of Flash is palatable is just have a more annoying version of that same character.
yeah.
Yeah,
Did you feel like he grew through the encounter with himself?
I think so. Yeah, yeah, and of course the whole twist at the end where some spoilers here. Um, the twist at the end where the who when the Flash goes back in time or the second time he goes back in time to prevent his mom from being murdered, and that guy comes up and knocks him out into the other universe, and of course the twist is that it's the other version of Barry. He just keeps going back in time trying to prevent the ending from happening.
Right.
Yeah. That was somewhat clever, I thought. Um, but yeah, and I think yeah, it definitely he definitely gets better as the movie goes along, as opposed to being more. He's not nearly as annoying, and I think part of it too is because seeing this version of himself being as annoying
Mhm.
and irritating as possible kind of makes him go, okay, well maybe I need to be a little less irritating and annoying.
Yeah. The other thing this movie did that I thought was interesting is that in an opening scene where he's at the cafe,
Right? Yeah.
like for once they actually like made it understandable why he was acting awkward because he couldn't actually say, "Hey, I kind of do this blood sugar or my powers will kill me."
Right. Yeah.
So hurry it up.
Yeah.
Come on, sandwich man.
Yeah. He's like, you can't rush perfection. Like,
Yeah, there's like little hints of a kind of more grounded movie.
yeah. And I like I will say the baby part at the beginning was weird because the CGI babies looked strange.
No, they needed like 3 or 4 more passes realistically.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but it was nice seeing like Batfleck and Wonder Woman. For however brief they were in the movie.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, and then of course when he goes back in time and changes everything, and then he goes and he meets Michael Keaton's Batman. That was that whole sequence in the kitchen where his hair's long and his beard. Yeah, he's got the beard and he's
Yeah.
making the spaghetti and explaining time travel and everything. I thought that and then he gets the parmesan and he's like, "Oh, what does the parmesan represent?" That's just garnish. It's metaphor's over.
Yeah. Yeah, Michael Keaton was pretty good in this.
Yeah. I wonder how much of the action scenes he did in the movie.
Probably very few of them.
Yeah, given his age and yeah, um, it just made me want to another Michael Keaton Batman movie or a Batman Beyond movie with him.
That's supposedly what the Batgirl movie was shaping up to be. Was him as Old Man Bruce with her as his younger protege.
Uh,
But and like people, like a friend of mine was like, yeah, like he was trying to like destroy like what benefit of the doubt I was giving the Gunverse. Like, you know what that was, what Batgirl was going to be? It was going to be Batman Beyond. It's like, but I heard it tested almost as bad as Black Adam, and that was bad.
yeah,
that like that generation of fanboy capture, we don't know what the audience wants. We're changing management every 6 months. DC could not make a really good movie.
yeah, yeah, and I think and I think what's kind of obviously disappointing is that this, since the franchise is getting rebooted, this movie isn't going anywhere.
Right.
You know, yeah, I mean, at the end of the movie, he gets his dad exonerated, but then there's another change, and the other change is that it's George Clooney, Bruce Wayne, not Ben Affleck or Michael Keaton. Like what?
And then his tooth randomly falls out to punctuate it. It's like, the
Yeah,
hell was that?
yeah. Well, you remember he when he was giving the other Barry his power,
Oh, I know.
yeah,
I
yeah.
I more mean, what the hell was that for?
Oh yeah, well, yeah. Why did it just decide right then and there to fall out? Yeah,
Like, was that meant to be like a moment of bathos or something? Or
yeah, maybe.
like, honestly, they needed to like do like one last reshoot. Like, Ben, yeah, please, just one more time. You don't have to work out. You'll just wear a suit. You'll walk up and congratulate Barry, and then we don't have this weird dangling George Clooney thing. Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. Uh, but um, but yeah, I think it. I mean, it's like I said, it's not the best superhero movie ever. Um,
Hmm.
Definitely not. I wouldn't say the best in the DCEU. Um, but I mean, it's far from the worst. I mean, I also agree with you too that this movie is a lot better than Morbius.
Yes.
Although Morbius is very that the benchmark's very low.
Yeah, the only things I can think of that are in the same league as Morbius are like Elektra.
I've never seen Electra, so I can't.
I can't recommend it. It was so boring.
Yeah, and of course I haven't seen the new Fantastic Four movie, the most recent one, the Josh Trank one.
Yeah, I never felt like being tranquilized like that. But
Yeah, I mean,
anyways.
yeah, me either. But yeah, I mean, if you're curious about this movie, I'd say give it a watch. I mean, it'll hold your at the very least it'll hold your interest and keep you engaged, which I think is a good thing for any movie. If
Hmm.
the worst thing a movie can be is boring.
Right.
Yeah, and this movie is not boring.
Yeah, and I'll also say that when I watch this, you kind of come away thinking, man, everyone in this movie deserved better, even Ezra Miller,
Yeah,
because the performances given by everybody were just too good for this movie.
yeah, and especially that the part in the when they're in the Batcave, the two berries are in the Batcave, and he's with the monkey plushie, and he's like, "You're using him as a dartboard," and yeah, and getting really mad at him about the fact that he said, you don't know how good you had it with mom and you're with mom and dad, and that was a good scene, I thought.
Yeah.
Mm.
I do remember somebody on Minette's Edge going, "Of course, Barry has chemistry with himself. Ezra's a flaming narcissist."
Well,
It's like, yeah, it's not wrong.
yeah, not entirely wrong there. Yeah, but but yeah, give it a watch if you're so inclined.
Yep. Meanwhile, on my end, I had Doug TenNapel's Cardboard, which is a graphic novel that he did ages ago. I actually, so I have a complicated opinion on Doug TenNapel. I think a lot of people who followed the Ethan Van Sciver Comicsgate days do.
Hmm.
Yeah, because they're like always the fun memes about how he didn't believe in washing his hands, and he had a lot of kooky beliefs on just a variety of subjects, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um, and but he's also a very talented guy. And then there were fallings out and all sorts of weird stuff going on there that I don't feel like getting into.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't. Yeah. We don't need to rehash that.
But I actually asked him on Twitter at the time, "Hey, what would be, what comic of yours, if I was going to pick up just one, would you recommend?" And I believe he recommended Cardboard
Okay.
because I picked it up. I was out of print at the time, so I picked it up on eBay, and I actually got around to it because I've been doing a major downsizing to try to clear up space in my apartment, and in preparation for a possible move. We'll see how that
Mm,
turns out.
yeah.
Um, and Cardboard was on the list of, well, I don't really care for the guy anymore, so I'll just sell this to half price books. Well, I guess I should give it a read. I'll give it a try.
Mm,
And then I couldn't put it down until I was done.
yeah.
So let's talk about Cardboard.
All right.
So Cardboard is a young adult or even children's graphic novel. Uh, it's just a one and done. There was talk at one point about it getting animated by Fox, apparently, but since Fox got bought by Disney, it seems like most of the Fox projects that Disney inherited got shoved off to die
Yeah.
or canceled outright.
Yeah.
So
One.
probably not
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah, and when I was googling images for the thumbnail, and this is the one I use for the thumbnail, um, I was seeing like Tobey Maguire was rumored to be in a movie or a TV version of it, maybe
Hmm.
as a voice. I don't know. I didn't really look into it that hard.
Yeah, maybe I could see him voicing one of the kids, maybe.
Mm.
But to kind of get back into
Yeah.
non-meta concerns.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
so it's a 288-page graphic novel published by Scholastic about it's an unemployed dad, and like the opening is him just driving around town trying to find something to do, right? Like
Hmm.
he's a handyman, but all construction is stopped. So I think the graphic novel came out in 2012, but it clearly has some very 2008, 2009 vibes to it.
Mm.
Um, and so yeah, he's trying to get his son a gift for his birthday, and he comes across this strange bazaar type thing, or this like the street side seller guy,
Yeah.
and he's like, don't you want to buy your son a gift? Well, I'm sorry, I'm broke right now. Ah, but well, I think I have the perfect thing for you. And he pulls out this big cardboard box that looks like it was like a refrigerator box,
Mm.
and says, "I'll sell this to you for this is the perfect gift. Why, this could be anything. A child of imagination. This could be a spaceship or a time machine." Um, and it's very kind of Gremlins here because he gives them a couple of rules. Uh, and it's like whatever cardboard you have when you're left over, bring it back here immediately.
Okay.
Um, well, he gets home, and the son, who is actually a good kid, is actually excited at the concept of building something.
Mm.
So they build Bill over here, who, I'm just going to go ahead and pull up a picture of Bill separately. One second, like where you can
Okay.
see him head on, because Doug definitely has a type where he likes the sort of tall, stringy character with a weird shaped head, like Earthworm Jim or Bigfoot Bill.
Yeah.
See if I can get a good shot of him. Is
Mm.
Let's see. Do we have a clear, good picture here of Bill? I'm getting good pictures of everybody else except Bill.
Of course.
Um, yeah, unfortunate. Well, regardless, you can see it's very much in Doug style, and so they decide that they're going to make a boxer. So they cut the box down and they put it together, and they paint the boxing gloves red and give him red lips and white teeth and eyes, and he comes to life in the middle of the night. And the dad comes in and gets knocked out because Bill thinks he's an intruder because he only really recognizes the kid.
Uh,
And in the course of things, he ends up in competition with, or to go back a minute, the son. So the character dynamics are: the son loves his dad. The dad feels like he's letting him down by not being able to have a job. Their mom died recently, and the dad has a neighbor who really likes him and is trying to, make it clear to him, hey, I like you.
yeah.
Get over your dead wife. And then you have a spoiled neighbor boy who bullies the son relentlessly.
Mm.
And he has his dad has more money than parenting skills.
Uh,
Very much an affluenza type thing.
mm. Yeah.
And the bully at one point uses a water pistol to destroy Bill's legs, and Bill's actually bleeding out because it's like cardboard blood, but still blood.
Oh.
So they violated the rule about no more. Take back the cardboard once you're done with it. Any leftover cardboard.
Yeah.
They come up with a very Calvin and Hobbes-esque idea, because the cardboard can be anything you want it to be, right? So they make a little triangle-shaped machine with the scraps and write "cardboard making machine" or something to that effect on the side. Paint a button on it, and they can push it and print more sheets of cardboard, which they use to make Bill more legs, saving his life. And you might notice that in this shot here, the background appears to be made entirely of cardboard, and they're all
Yeah.
holding lots of cardboard stuff. Uh, let's just say there's consequences to an unlimited supply of magical cardboard.
Yeah.
And that's as far as I'll go into the story, because it's a story that's worth reading, in my opinion. It's it was a breezy read. Again, I didn't want to put it down because I thought I would just read a few pages, then put it on the hold for a minute. But I just wanted to keep going because like Doug has a very amusing sense of humor. Like you know, the son is teaching Bill all of the great classics, like Plato's The Republic and Wrath of Khan,
Yeah.
and both are quoted at one point or another.
Uh,
Um, and the characters are like, if you read his Bigfoot Bill graphic novel, this is the slightly more kid-friendly version of that.
okay.
So whatever my complicated feelings about Doug himself are, I would say that this is worth a read.
All right.
Uh, Even as a non-child, I enjoyed myself.
Yeah. Oh.
Also, we're never getting a movie, so
Yeah.
because at this point, Doug's politics are known. Let's just say so.
Yeah. 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 Hollywood doesn't like people with Doug's politics or religious beliefs.
No.
Yeah.
Even his buddy, who was Mike on Mystery Science Theater 3000, had to step away from, I believe,
Mm.
if memory serves,
Mm.
because they used to have a podcast I would listen to sometimes.
Mm.
But the only way that this thing is getting an animated movie is if the Daily Wire decides to take a stab at kids' animation.
Which I could see him doing.
Yeah, I guess they seem to have cooled down on the movies a bit,
Yeah.
but I guess anything could happen. But yeah, give it a read. It's just good, clean fun.
Yeah.
With some heart.
All right. So on to
The box
the
office.
box office. Yes.
Yes, from the cardboard box to the box office.
Yes.
And
Doing it live.
Boy, the numbers has really just been moving at the speed of molasses lately.
Yeah, I've noticed that too.
Get some more servers, guys.
Yeah.
All right. So in terms of major moves, it looks like Gran Turismo kind of did not have a lot of staying power, unfortunately.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah, 62% drop week over week from a small opening beginning.
Yeah,
Although international is doing decent. I
yeah.
don't. Yeah, they didn't report a budget. Um, yeah, this is probably not going to be a big win for them though, because Sony doesn't have their own proprietary streaming service. They've got options.
Yeah, indeed. And hey, Chingus, good to see you. And yeah,
Hey, hey.
Equalizer 3 is out. Yeah.
Yep. Now, it's interesting that they pointed out is and this is like the big release for the weekend. Somebody pointed out that the three Equalizer movies all made roughly the same opening weekend.
Hmm.
34, 36, 34.
Wow.
Now, of course, Daniel, what's the problem with people saying that that's a consistent movie?
Yeah.
Well, uh, uh, semi-rhetorical question. What's the problem with everybody reporting that, oh, it's a consistent, steady franchise? If,
uh.
if over 20 years they make roughly the same amount every time they come out, or
Oh
over 10
yeah.
years.
Right. Yeah. The little inflation, I guess.
Yeah. So it kind of tells us that the actual audience who's willing to walk to a theater or drive to a theater to see it is declining over time.
Yeah.
Still, though, for September 1st, which is usually like Labor Day weekend, is usually box office death.
Yeah. Because it's the kind of the unofficial end of summer.
Yep. As much as summer kind of, yeah, there's basically no schools that are not having kids in them at this point.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. All the kids are back in school, and yeah. Then the quality of movies dips.
Speaking of Shang-Chi, I forget what its opening weekend was. Was it
Good
40, 75?
35. Wow.
Man, some of those Marvel and DC movies would kill for a $75 million opening at this point.
Yeah. Although to be fair, that was when the Marvel movies were starting to decline in at least financially and
Right.
and creatively. Yeah.
Right. This was also the first one of the movies that didn't have that stupid Disney Plus pay us money and you can watch it at home thing.
Right. Yeah. Looking at you, Black Widow.
Cough, cough, Black Widow, and let's see, it was Black Widow, Raya and the Dragon, and Mulan.
I'm a lot right. Yeah.
Man, I have not heard anybody say anything about that Raya and the Dragon movie. Like, not even animation geeks seem to acknowledge it as a thing to meme.
Wow. I've never seen it, so I can't. I haven't watched it, so I can't
It looked
comment on it.
extremely average.
Yeah. That may be why, because it's a very average movie
Yeah.
and it's not worth
Y-
talking about.
You said before, the worst thing you can be is boring.
Right.
Now, I haven't actually watched anybody's reviews of The Equalizer 3, so I don't know if it's good or not.
uh Film Threat liked it.
Okay.
They said it's the plot. One, you don't have to watch the first two Equalizers to know what's going on in this.
Okay. Always a plus for these
And
action movies.
right. And it's kind of like a Western. It's very
Hmm.
similar setup where he's a stranger in another town, and he helps them out, and they accept him with open arms. They become accepting of him. It's
Okay.
basically the plot of the movie, and then he helps the sheriff out with certain crime problems.
He's there to equalize things. Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually didn't know this until maybe a couple of years ago that this was based on a TV show.
Hmm. That is interesting. Like,
Yeah.
so, do you happen to remember what the? Actually, I guess we can look up Labor Day weekends because I remember Shang-Chi, but I don't remember what last year's was.
I don't remember last year either.
Because I would say that a $30+ million opening for So this is decent for September 1st.
Yeah. Let's
So
see.
maybe Shang-Chi blazed or blazed the way a little bit.
Yeah.
Labor Day, all movies, 3 days. Okay, it's number 2. Oh,
6 cents. Oh.
29 million in 1999 dollars.
That was a lot of money back then. Halloween. The remake Halloween. Okay. Crazy Rich Asians.
Top Gun Maverick was the top last year. That's why I didn't remember there being a new movie that came out.
Ah.
They did not bother. Okay, 6 million for Top Gun Maverick for that weekend. Yeah, they did not bother putting anything that weekend.
No, they didn't. Yeah.
So yeah, another cash infusion for the movie theater. So always
Yeah.
nice.
Yes. Barbie's
Um,
still in the top, or is it number 2 still? And
yep,
yeah,
it refuses to die.
yeah.
What I wonder is that now it is actually starting to come to digital on demand.
Okay. So
Um,
it'll start slowing down, I think.
yeah, Strays is also available on digital on demand after 2 weeks in theaters.
Ouch.
Yeah, Voodoo was sending me emails saying, "Hey, you should watch Strays. Watch Strays at home." Like, no thanks.
Nah.
Um, yeah, Barbie continuing to make all the money. Blue Beetle has finally squeaked its way past 100 million. So,
Mm.
1.3 Shang-Chi opening weekends.
Yeah. But it's they're still gonna eat it with this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Especially because we kind of know, thanks to British filings for Disney and other companies that put out or that do some of their filming in the UK to get tax breaks,
Yeah.
that everybody lies horribly on these official numbers.
Yes, they do. Yeah. I'm assuming you watched the same Valiant Renegade video that I did about Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
700 million combined my ass.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, who are you defrauding? Are you defrauding the UK government by claiming it by feather bedding and claiming extra costs, or yeah,
Maybe.
that would be a scandal if that came out.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um, Meanwhile, Ninja Turtles. I actually went somewhere with my family last weekend, and there were a bunch of kids wearing Ninja Turtle masks playing with each other in the park. So
Hmm.
I'll take that as an indirect indicator that somebody went to that movie.
Yeah. Or they went and bought the toys at least.
Yep. Bottoms. We talked about this last weekend. Was it lesbian themed cheerleader movie? Yeah.
Yeah, lesbian raunchy comedy. Yeah.
Yep. Meg 2 The Trench. Looks like it's making money, but that's
Yeah.
Chinese box office money, which is fool's gold.
Yes. Yeah, they only get to keep 25% of that.
So not worth the effort,
Yeah.
but at least it isn't Strays,
That's true.
which thankfully it's a somewhat modestly budgeted movie by modern standards. But I don't. I think that Will Ferrell comedies are kind of past their expiration date.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Chinggis said it went to watch Turtles. Shame it's not doing well. Well, I think they're making a lot. They're making a lot of money in with licensing and with merchandise. So I think they'll be just fine.
And this is also one that will probably have a long shelf life just by being part of this brand.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, the other thing is that, you know, okay, so Shangus, I think you even posted this in my writers Discord, that old boys clip for Ninja Turtles, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like that was well animated and like they definitely directed it well.
Yeah.
But I refuse to believe that that particular version of April O'Neil is a high schooler and not like, I don't know, a 30-something post office worker.
Ooh.
Well,
Ouch.
I mean, she kind of has wrinkles on her face, as I recall.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Like, man,
Oh man. Yeah.
I do wonder how much that particular design choice chased away a lot of classic fans.
Uh, yeah, probably a few. Yeah. If they were gonna go that route, they should have stuck with her look from Rise.
Yeah, that one at least. Yeah, that one looked youthful and fun,
Yeah.
as opposed to making me feel sad for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I am also on a weight loss journey that I'm currently failing, so I sympathize, but it just kind of makes me sad.
Yeah.
It's my sympathy.
Yeah.
Um, Meanwhile, last week we talked about how mysteriously Barbie and Ninja, or not Barbie, Little Mermaid
Yeah.
and Mario Brothers were
Mario.
suddenly in 1,000 extra movies. Elemental said, "Hold my fire, beer," because they added 3,000 theaters mysteriously last weekend.
That's interesting.
You wonder if some of these theater chains go, no, no. That's got to be multiple theater chains being in on it, because that isn't just AMC saying, "Hey, we've got a gap in our schedule."
That's Regal, that's Cinemark, that's everybody.
So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, side tangent. So when I went to see Barbie with my family, I went to this place called iPick, which I think is, I don't know if that's a brand or if that's just like a local one, but it's like one of those Cinemark style kick up your feet and have an actual meal theaters.
Oh yeah, we had. I think it's a brand. It's a chain. I remember seeing them in Austin. Yeah.
So I ended up paying for my parents' food because they paid for my ticket,
Oh.
and with the tip, it was about $35. When I looked at my credit card, you know how like, if you like go to a gas station or something, there'll be like a hold of like $300 or something crazy like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had a $75 hold on my card, and I was like, it was kind of dark when I wrote down how much the tip was for. Did
Oh.
the guy added extra 40? It turned out he did not. But just a consumer warning: if you go to an iPick theater, and don't be too afraid if you see a big charge on your card before it actually sorts out.
Yeah. Wow.
Like I was worried I'd given the guy an extremely generous tip.
Usually, if that happens, the guy he probably would have tracked you down and gone, did you really want to leave me this tip?
Yeah, you would hope.
Yeah.
Although I am in kind of the Microsoft and Amazon employee hub, so maybe he's used to people being stupid generous
Maybe.
or complete assholes. But that's here with there.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless, that's still very interesting that that Elemental, like, yeah, Elemental. I don't think I would actually like the movie. Truth be told, for
Mhm.
everything I've heard about it, but it sounds
Yeah.
like it does its niche well, which is to be commended.
Yeah.
And you wonder what some actual marketing effort would have looked like, because I feel like they backed away from this thing like, ah, crap, we got another Lightyear on our hands.
Yeah.
And then it looked like we had worse than a Lightyear, because I think it had like half the opening weekend of Lightyear, but now it's doubled its total box office.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I'm kind of with you there. It sounds like a romantic comedy, and
Right.
not really big on romantic comedies, but yeah, they're probably. I'm sure there are a few people at Disney kicking themselves like, oh man, if we had marketed this better, we might have actually broken even on it.
Yep. Ah, well.
Yeah.
It does kind of make some of the doom and gloom around Pixar in particular seem a little bit hasty.
Mhm.
Not everything has that Marvel distribution, the sad sperm whale.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and then I guess, man, last voyage of the Demeter, $90,000 in its fourth weekend.
Too.
Yeah, Sound of Freedom seems to be wrapping up. Although, it's actually gotten an international distribution now, a little bit.
Yeah, I think it like UK and or not U. Yeah,
Mexico,
UK. Yeah, New
Australia.
Zealand.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so basically, former British colonies that are in Canada and Mexico. And gee, Daniel, I can't imagine why the Mexican audience might be interested in a movie about somebody saving victims of child herding who are from that area.
Yeah, yeah.
Complete mystery.
Oh yeah.
But it's winding down.
Yeah.
The meme has exhausted itself. But in the process, it embarrassed the U.S. halls of almost every movie on this list that wasn't Barbenheimer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, is it literally every movie that isn't Barbenheimer? Let's see. Okay, Little Mermaid. If Little Mermaid hadn't cost 250 freaking million dollars to make, that would have been a pretty decent haul. But
Yeah. And well, reportedly $250 million.
right, who knows? Maybe Fishtails Inc. in UK will make it clear in a few years that it was more like 350 or something.
Yeah.
But now, as far as trends that we see in this, I think that the signal this has to be sending to Hollywood is try new things, you idiots,
Yeah.
because the sequels are not the strength of this summer at all.
Yes.
Like last summer, you could have gotten or last year, 2021, 2022, you could have gotten the idea, oh, people want the comfort food. So Spider-Man and Maverick and Minions and Jurassic Park, those last Jurassic World, that's where we make the money.
Yeah. Mm,
Not so
mm,
much this summer.
not so much. Yeah.
Franchises are punished. New things that are at least new as movie properties do well, except for Strays, because Strays isn't really a new thing. It's just a raunchy version of Homeward Bound
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
with a actor who is great in his Barbie cameo, but
Yeah.
he's kind of washed up as a solo artist.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. His humor has run its course.
Yep. Also, Asteroid City, really, we haven't looked at that in ages. Based on that opening weekend, I was expecting that to do much better than it ultimately did.
Yeah.
Like, because it opened, okay, it was a weird indie
Oh, we
opener.
right. Yeah. Well, nine and a half million. Is that right?
Yeah, the nine-ish million.
Yeah.
But then it
A
just
nine
started
million.
falling off, and yeah, I was kind of thinking this could do like everything or anything everywhere all at once type
Yeah.
performance.
I think was Paul Anderson,
Mhm.
Wes Anderson. Um, his movies are a little too niche for a lot of people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with that. It is interesting how the second that trailer started, when I saw it back in like when I think I saw it ahead of Suzume.
Mm.
Um, no, it was either Suzume or Dungeons and Dragons. Um, um, and I could just immediately tell it was a Paul Wes Anderson movie because, or
Uh, Wes Anderson, I think is that. I think that's right.
yeah. Well, we have him right here.
Yeah.
How does he call himself?
God, where is
'Cause
it?
I thought he was like one of those guys who called himself by three names.
Well, there's Paul W.S. Anderson,
Mm.
and that's the guy he did Mortal Kombat and
Oh, that's where I'm getting confused. Okay,
Resident Evil. Yeah.
ignore me.
Yeah. Oh,
I know what I like
casting.
with movies, but I know certain things very well, but
Yeah.
my broad knowledge can occasionally fail me.
Yeah, Wes Anderson did like the Royal Tenenbaums,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so yeah,
Rushmore. Yeah,
I could tell it was Wes Anderson the second the trailer started. Like, there's just the way he does his, like he arranges his shots and the color palettes he chooses.
yeah, and the acting, the delivery of the actors.
Right. Which like I actually did a movie review for The Life Aquatic with Steve Sisso for my college newspaper
Uh,
when I was considering communications as a degree.
uh,
And I called it like cinematic autism or something, where like all the characters are just completely flat and they don't really show their emotions at all.
yeah.
But so yeah, that was your summer box office, folks.
Yes. Bit of aside from Barbenheimer, bit of a down year.
Yep. Although I think that the actual dollar performance was up from last year because there was more. There was more that actually came out. Like it wasn't. It's not like last year where like Barbie was big, but there was still room for other movies to do things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and of course we're getting out of the the unspecified virus of unknown origins,
Yeah.
stuff, and yeah.
By the way, I should note that I saw several of these Mega Bomb movies. At least two of them in the forms of Flash and Blue Beetle.
Hmm.
These movies underperforming does not mean that you aren't allowed to like them.
That's true. Yeah.
These movies having bad Rotten Tomatoes ratings doesn't mean you're not allowed to like them, because now we know that a bunch of those reviews are paid off.
Yeah.
So now you can kind of wonder, huh, did the DC movies get more of a rough treatment than the Marvel movies because Warner Brothers wasn't paying the right people?
It's highly likely. It's likely. Yeah.
So yeah, that makes you kind of question a lot of things, and makes if you ever consider going to Rotten Tomatoes, maybe instead just go watch a film threat live stream.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that. Yeah. They know movies better than the vast majority of people that they would call themselves critics these days.
Yep. And like even where I've ended up watching a movie and having a different take than them, I at least like okay, they did a good job accurately representing the movie.
Hmm.
And while I didn't think X was funny, I could see where somebody else could.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, um, maybe if it wasn't for this strike that's about to put like an air bubble in the bloodstream of Hollywood in terms of actual new production, maybe we could have been coming into more of a normal season. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, well, I hope you like K dramas, anime, British productions.
I
Um,
do like anime and British productions, so
and Netflix has a surprisingly large amount of live action Japanese stuff too.
yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, yeah, Chinggis, man, RT reviews are bought. Who could have seen that coming? Yeah,
Yeah, it's I haven't looked into the details of it because we're not reporting on that anymore, but it seems that enough people are reporting it that there was at least some sort of collective attempt to skew the ratings.
yeah, yeah. Not good. It's not good.
Nope. But to transition, it
Yes.
was actually quite good.
Yeah.
So, as we've mentioned a few times, we've been switching to a mix of new and old. And
Mhm.
uh, as we've been picking movies, I kind of feel like my choices have actually no, I'd say both of our choices have this aspect where it's like, okay, we all know a few memes from some of these movies.
Yeah.
Well, let's actually watch it. Like mm,
Mm-hmm.
from
Uh,
Wolf of Wall Street.
yeah.
Then of course, forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown.
Yes.
Uh, for this one, of course, the meme is always be closing. Coffees
Yeah.
for closers.
Yes.
Because of course we watched Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yes. So this was originally a stage play that got adapted into a movie, and both the play and the movie were written by David Mamet, whose uh, work is very well known. I don't know if you've ever seen Wag the Dog.
I have actually. I didn't realize that
Okay.
was him.
Yeah, he wrote that movie. Yeah. Um,
Much less cursing in that one.
yeah, much less cursing in that one. Yeah. um, but yeah, I actually remember when I think it was in high school when there was a production of this on Broadway, and uh, I wasn't really not really all that much into musicals, and so my parents were trying to find plays that we could go see, but my mom was like, "No, we don't want to go see this movie. There's too much swearing in it." It's like,
Which your mom wasn't wrong.
no, yeah, no, she wasn't.
A
But
little bit of Wikipedia research showed that behind the scenes, the actors referred to this jokingly as "death of an effing salesman."
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so the movie is has an all star cast of actors. You've got uh, so you well, I'll start with the four salesmen. So there are these four. The movie centers around these four salesmen. You got Jack Lemmon, Al Pacino, Ed Harris, and Alan Arkin, and they work for basically like a real estate property company, and
Mhm.
their two bosses are their office manager is Kevin Spacey, and then of course the big honcho from downtown is Alec Baldwin, and he's the one doing the always be closing.
Yeah, he was originally supposed to, apparently he was originally supposed to have Al Pacino's role, but he kind of knew he was second choice if Al decided to go with it.
Mm,
Um, and so, but they really wanted to use him, so they actually wrote that scene for him for this movie,
yeah,
which it's a great scene.
yeah, it is. Even though Baldwin's only in one scene, it's still it's a very memorable scene because it's like we said, you got the two memeable quotes in there. Always be closing and coffees for closers.
Right. It also so this movie is basically about um, a bunch of salesmen, and you kind of see them at different stages of their careers and different strings of luck.
Right,
Like Al Pacino is more or less on top of the world. Like he's smoking everybody else's sales that month.
right, yeah, and yeah, he's on a real hot streak.
Yep. And dude is just so full of himself. Like he's talking with his newest mark, and from what I can tell with these with the real estate company here, I think it's almost like a Chinese Evergrande situation where the properties aren't built yet, but it's like
Mhm.
people are buying them either to move into eventually or as investment opportunities.
Yeah, and
That
I
was the
think
impression I
that
got at least.
yeah, that's what I got too. They use every underhanded tactic they can legally
Yep.
to sell this land and sell all this property.
Right. Like, Jack Lemmon keeps pretending that he's sitting like he's there in the middle of the pouring rain at a phone booth, and he's talking to a non-existent secretary about how, I'll only be in town for one day, so
Yeah, yeah, and
flying in out of New Mexico or whatever.
yeah, yeah, and Alan Arkin's talking. He's like, "Oh, I'm at the airport in Arizona. When they said, I see you live right by the airport,' and you're like, what?
Yeah. Um, but like Al Pacino's character is kind of the worst because because he's like, I don't go from middle class morality. I mean, you cheated on your wife, it happened. You F a kid, it happened.
Yeah,
Like,
like what?
yeah. And so basically, Al Pacino's character is doing well. Everybody else is on the rocks. So Alec Baldwin gets sent down to, like, first prize this month is you get a Cadillac car. Second prize, you get a set of steak knives. Third prize, you're fired.
Yeah.
And it's how these people who are down on their luck and on a cool streak deal with that news.
Yeah, and of course the biggest complaint that they have are they're getting really bad leads. The
Mhm.
leads they're getting are terrible. They're not getting the coveted Glengarry leads.
Right, which are like literally printed on gold colored paper.
Yeah, and wrapped up in a bow.
Yeah. Yeah, I get the impression now lead generation is a art and a business in all and of itself.
Mhm.
You get the impression that this is like people who have expressed interest in the real estate products or got on some sort of list at some point.
Right. Yeah.
In fact, when
Yeah.
Jack Lemmon goes to some guy's house, he's like, Look, my wife signed up for this. She didn't know what she was doing.
Yeah.
Please leave us alone."
Yeah. And or and that happens, or they're constantly getting telemarketing calls. That's
Yeah,
basically what that all is. Yeah. At least I think that's right.
that sounds right.
Yeah.
But, I was thinking about it, and the only okay, so let's kind of we don't necessarily need to like divide these into two videos, but like we can kind of give our non-spoiler thoughts, then get into some juicy spoilers.
Yes. Yeah.
Because realized that because this movie is not necessarily about the plot per se. Um,
No. Yeah.
some of what we've been talking about could constitute minor spoilers, just because I can in a movie where they were trying to team up to fight the Lizard Empire or whatever.
Right.
These will be incidental scenes that show off the characters when that's what the movie is, incidental scenes that show off the characters.
Right. Yeah. This is definitely very much a character-driven story, and it's carried by the characters, carried by the actors in particular, and yeah, there's no one main character. Although I guess you could kind of argue maybe Jack Lemon's character is kind
He,
of the main character.
he's the closest we get to it.
Yeah.
There's and he puts in such a great performance
Yeah.
because the character's kind of a scumbag, but he has like some sympathetic baggage where you kind of realize why he has to be a scumbag.
Yeah. Yeah. He and go off on a little tangent, but Jack Lemon's character in the movie was the inspiration for Gil and The Simpsons.
Yeah, good old Gil.
Yeah. Oh, Gil's in a lot of trouble.
Oh, please, my wife's gonna leave me if I don't sell this car.
Yeah.
It's so weird that he has stuck around on The Simpsons for so long. Because like, you'd think he's
Yeah.
like a one-note character, but they keep finding ways to have him be pathetic.
Yeah. Uh,
But
but
you see,
yeah.
you see why he's so memorable that he inspired a whole character.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that actually part of what inspired me to pick this one this week was watching a video of somebody talking about Gil on The Simpsons and pointing out what he was. Like,
Yeah.
always be closing. Coffee's for closers. Ha ha. I know nothing about this movie besides that. Let's give that a shot.
Yeah.
But it was the Simpsons connection that brought it to my attention.
Ah. Yeah.
And then Alan Arkin and the other guy, what was his?
Ed Harris.
Ed Harris,
Yeah.
thank you. They are, in their own way, they kind of drive the plot,
Mhm.
like what the plot there is, because, you know, Jack Lemon's character, he gets told that he has to get his sales numbers up. Damn it, he's going to go out there and pound the pavement and get those sales numbers up.
Yeah.
Ed Harris, F it, fraud.
Yeah.
We won't necessarily go into what the fraud is because that might be that I think that constitutes spoilers. But
Yeah. That counts. Just yeah. Yeah.
it's the two of it's Ed Harris spending the whole movie trying to get Alan Arkin in on the scheme.
Yeah. And what was interesting is that their dynamic kind of reminded me of uh, the two guys on in Alien.
Hmm.
I can't remember. Actually, one of them's last name was Parker, and then I can't remember the other guy. But yeah, whenever like one of them would say something, we really need to do this, and then the guy say, "Yeah, right." And you're
Yeah,
like, "Yeah, right." That's kind of what it reminded me of with Ed Harris and Alan Arkin.
yeah. One's the one driving things. The other one, you get the impression the whole time he's extremely uncomfortable with what's going on.
Yeah, yeah,
but he kind of goes along with it because follower.
yeah,
And then Kevin Spacey's character, he's kind of a blank slate because they keep implying that he's just somebody's son or somebody's cousin.
yeah,
You don't know how to manage salespeople. You don't know how to deal with people. You don't do that to people. All while they just hurl constant abuse at him.
yeah, yeah. He's like, oh, you keep giving us these effing bad leads. Why you give the no, the leads are good leads? No, these stupid different. Yeah,
Yeah. I would say that the interesting thing about this movie is I kept thinking, okay, what the hell is this conversation actually about? Especially early on,
mm,
because like, there seemed to be like a lot of conversations that seemed like they were about nothing, but you kind of realized it was just like it was like very deftly written. There's like a lot of interplay
yeah.
as the guys are kind of jockeying around.
Yeah, and that's I think that's a hallmark of Damon Man. I think that's Damon Mammoth's writing style. Just that back and forth, where they're
Hmm.
and yeah, going back to the Simpsons, when there's one episode where Moe's eyes are darting back and forth, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm watching a snappy Damon Mammoth play."
Yeah. Um, and even when I was like, okay, where's this conversation going? I was never
Mhm.
bored or antsy. It's more just like, okay, I don't see what you're going for here, and then it would crystallize.
Yeah, yeah.
So, in a non-spoiler way, Daniel, would you recommend?
Um, if you can tolerate some foul language and some various slurs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I would I'd give it a watch. Yeah, I'm actually kind of curious to watch a stage version of this.
Yeah, I wonder if they've gone back and added in the Alec Baldwin scene at this point.
They might have. Yeah,
I think that alone would be interesting just to watch it on the stage, just to see if they changed it retroactively because it was such a great addition.
yeah,
Because like what this really is it's about like the plight of these salesmen who deal with these stupid arbitrary numbers that are totally dependent on the people they're fleecing,
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and just all the different stages of life. Like Jack Lemmon is close to retirement and he's not what he used to be.
Hmm.
And the funny thing about me, like I've never been in a thank God I've never been in a sales position where I have to deal with where I had to live off of commission.
Yeah,
But I've been in retail environments like Best Buy or whatnot, where it's like there is some pressure to have your sales up. It's like if you're having a bad day, it's like people can see that on you. And even if they were going to buy something, like
yeah,
that stink of defeat on you, if you don't dispel it quick, it can really like mess with you.
yeah. Yeah, well, it kind of goes to like back to the movie. Like there's a sign that's up on the wall. I think it's over Spacey's office door.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "Salesmen are born, not made."
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of truth to that.
Right. Some people are just good at getting out there and hawking themselves and hawking whatever they want.
Yeah.
It's like the classic thing: "Sell me this pen,"
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
which that was another thing that the Wolf of Wall Street stole because they certainly did not come up with that.
No, right. So yeah,
He defrauded somebody there again.
yeah, yeah. uh, yeah. So I guess would you recommend this movie?
There are people I would recommend this movie to. My
Yeah.
parents would not be among them.
Yeah, mine too. Yeah.
Maybe my dad, but I think the thing is that this is a very cynical movie in its own way.
Yeah, it
So,
is. Yeah.
so be ready to deal with that. Be ready to deal with a lot of foul language, but like the performances are so heartfelt.
Yeah.
It takes some skill to make Jack Lemmon, one of the all-time great actors, kind of come off as an asshole,
Yeah.
while being likable at the same time. Like, he's like the character you kind of root for, but you kind of see like, you're an awful person.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Although the
Yeah.
fact that he's losing so badly makes you like, okay, sure, he's lying about his secretary or whatever, but
Yeah.
it's like it comes off more as like a desperate ploy than a manipulation.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it's on Hulu. I'd say. Oh, the other nice thing about it, movie is like 90 minutes long, almost on the dot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very short. Yeah.
So if you don't like it and you're wondering where it's going, just
Yeah.
give it a little more time. It'll crystallize.
Yes. Yeah.
All
All
right,
right.
spoiler thoughts.
Spoilers. Yes. So,
Yeah.
so yeah. So the whole movie kind of, like I said, it centers around, like Ed Harris's character is complaining that they're getting really bad leads. They want
Mhm.
the Glengarry leads, and so he's talking to Alan Arkin's character, and trying to trying to light a fire under him, and trying to, and then it gets to the point where finally gets to the point where it was, oh, we're gonna break into the office.
We are.
What? We're gonna break into the office and steal the leads, and then sell them to this other guy. Like what?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't do it. They saw how angry I was.
Yeah, yeah. I
They'll
gotta have an alibi. Yeah,
they'll assume it was me.
yeah. They won't know it's you.
Yeah. And so it's like that's their plot is Ed talking him into it. And of course,
Mhm.
the next day they show up and the office has been broken into.
Yeah,
And Alan Arkin is acting very nervous because there's a police detective around.
yeah. Yeah, and then and he's, of course, he goes in and interviews with him. He comes out and says, I can't believe you're treating me like this. This isn't America."
Gestapo tactics.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like, uh-oh, they're onto him. But then I start getting an inkling that Jack Lemmon's character seemed a little bit too happy, even though he had seemingly made a big sale.
yeah, yeah. With two very questionable clients.
Yes. And yeah, get me and he was just so desperate, like, get me on that board, get me on that board, you can't treat people like this.
Yeah,
Whose member did you have to kiss to get this job? Oh,
yeah, yeah,
there was a time where I could have gone down there and told Miriam or whatever their Murray, whatever the company's actual name was,
yeah, yeah,
and I would have had your job in an hour. But like that. It's a thing. It's like while Jack Lemmon is a pathetic character, at the same time, you realize that he is just Pacino's character on a bad luck streak and getting close to retirement. With, he doesn't have the same power he used to.
right, yeah, and so, of course, the whole thing with Pacino is he was working this guy in the Chinese food restaurant to sell him this land in Florida, and he manages to do it, and he gets the check, and of course, um, gets the checks and gets him to sign the contract. But then the break-in happens, and so Pacino's like, "What did you send the check to the bank? Did you get the contract?" And all, and Spacey's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, it's fine."
He's just like super like he's like a dog with a bone, won't let it go.
Right? Yeah,
I want my Cadillac car.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and of course, then the guy walks in and he's like, "Oh, I need my check back."
And my wife said I gotta.
Yeah,
I can't do this. It's like they spend like so then there's like a 10-minute scene. And I've actually been on the receiving end of that, like when I was trying to sell people on like a phone plan or something where it's like for them this is like a very big deal, like a big commitment that they're putting down for, right?
right. Yeah,
Um, it's like you got to like spend some time with them, coax them, even if they're like thinking of backing out on it. You got to like try to talk them back into it.
hmm,
And Al was like, so the guy has 3 days to give up. He says, "Oh, I got to
right.
get out of here. I'll be back Monday." But Monday will be past the 3 days. The city attorney said that I had 3 days. Hey, look, it doesn't. Like, and then he tries to like lie to. He just flat lies to him. Like, oh no,
Yeah,
yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, or
Tuesday,
Wednesday, Thursday,
Thursday,
Friday.
Friday.
The weekend doesn't count. Monday,
Yeah, yeah,
Monday, we'd still have time.
yeah. Jeez.
Complete shyster.
Oh yeah.
Um, and then then Spacey ruins it by um, by lying and saying that the check had already been sent in.
Right. Yeah.
And so the guy leaves, and he's like, gonna have to do something, like cancel the check or something. And it's like,
Yeah.
you just cost me a job. And Jack Lemmon like starts ripping it up. Yeah, you don't do that. You don't lie unless you know the play.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
you're an idiot. You don't know your business.
Right.
Wait,
Yeah.
wait. How did you know that? How did you know that was a lie?
Yeah.
And like I'd been suspecting, since he showed up and was actually kind of happy, it was Jack Lemmon who broke in and stole the leads and the contracts.
And presumably the phones, I think, because remember they
Yeah, and
stole
all
a
the
phone. The
phones.
phone. Yeah.
Um, and it's like, by the way, that sale you made with the what was it the Gundersons or something like that? It was like
Yeah.
it was
Something.
something that sounded kind of like Norwegian.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fake, wasn't it?
Well, it's like they were a couple of crazy people who liked to waste people's time because they were just liked talking with salesmen.
Right. Yeah.
And so they would agree to things and then back out.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, yeah, says Spacey. I checked out that lead months ago. They just like to waste your time. And why
Mm.
did you give me that lead? Because I don't like you.
Yeah.
And that was so oddly satisfying in that moment.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because you know what occurs to me? The Gil character on The Simpsons works because he is consistently pathetic. And he has like when he like Gil got his own episode at one point back when I was watching it.
Mm.
And he like when he was on top, he was actually like very like when he actually started having some whiffs of success, as memory serves, he was actually very grateful and overjoyed and didn't quite understand how it was happening, but
Yeah.
he was gracious about it, right?
Right.
Where
Yeah.
Jack Lemmon gets a whiff of money and success, and he just goes full blown asshole.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That whole little bit where he was going at Spacey's like, oh wow, man.
Yeah, like man, I know that, and mind you, the night before he'd been groveling pathetically. Give me the good leads. I'll pay you $50 a lead, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and you'll get 20%. And I just need good leads, man. I got to get out of this losing streak.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, give me 100 lead. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Uh, which
Yeah.
like was basically Spacey playing with him because he didn't have the money,
Right.
and also just like yeah, he didn't he didn't like him because why
Yeah.
would he
Yeah.
like him? Because you have this guy who's alternately smug and pathetic.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And of course the part with Jack Lemmon where you kind of feel some sympathy for him is because he has a daughter who is in the hospital
Yep.
and he's got to pay her hospital bills.
Or else she's kicked out.
Right. Yeah. You don't get any other information about like what's wrong with her or anything. You just know that there's she's sick and in the hospital and yeah.
Yep. Like my daughter. Fuck you.
Yeah.
This is as he has shown him the money that he got for selling the leads, and like I think he's trying to bribe him with it or something.
Yeah. 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 And what was I
Just a
gonna say?
Weasley little snake.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they're all every there are no saints in this movie. Everybody in this movie is just a total asshole in one way or another.
Yeah, Alan Arkin is probably the least, just
Yeah,
because of his follower nature. That's also why he isn't at the top of the charts in this business.
yeah,
Um, I would also say that Kevin Spacey is sympathetic because Jack Lemmon is just kind of badgering him the night before as he's trying to go. I'm going to go home, drive for an hour, hang out with my kids for an hour, and come back here to keep working.
yeah,
And here's this old washed up jerk cursing him out, begging for special favors, and eating up his time. You know what? Fine, you can have the Gundersons.
yeah,
And I know it isn't Gunderson, but it is something that kind of sounds similarly like Scandinavian, Nordic, whatever.
yeah, yeah. Uh, what was they? Oh yeah, and of course that whole scene with where Pacino's just ripping into Spacey is just like, oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah, so probably the characters you feel worst for in order are Spacey and then Arkin, because
Yeah,
Arkin actually did the right thing and did well. He didn't do the right thing insofar as he did not report that the guy was scheming on that,
yeah, yeah.
but he
But
clearly said
he,
no,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
as much as he was being pressured.
yeah,
But
yeah,
man, like the payoff at the end there was just so great.
yeah. Yeah, and of course it just you don't see what happens to Lemon, although you assume he probably does a little time.
Yep, and
And,
he for sure his butt is on the streets.
oh yeah, yeah, all Gil's in a lot of trouble.
Oh, good.
Ugh.
Yeah, you can see why. I feel like there's a lot of movies out there where it's like the meme for a scene,
Mhm.
and there's like a reason the meme caught on. But the reason the meme was able to catch on was because enough people saw the movie to have that meme or have that moment stand out to them.
Yeah,
And I would say this movie definitely lives up to the meme.
yeah, I think so too. Yeah, yeah, so much so that Baldwin even kind of parodied it in Boss Baby. He's like, "Cookies are for closers."
Yeah, uh, yeah. He was probably what in his like 20s, 30s at the time.
Yeah, early, maybe early 30s, maybe mid 30s, somewhere around in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Like, I mean, the fact that he could stand with all these great actors
yeah.
and stand out among them. Probably it couldn't have hurt his career at all.
No, no, it definitely helped. Yeah, and I think this was after Hunt for Red October.
Okay.
Oh, so people already kind of knew who he was by then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed was that I hadn't thought of the '90s as having a particular music style for movies,
Mm.
but dang, the soundtrack in this is so '90s
Oh, it is. Yeah.
with that synth jazz stuff that was all over the place.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, especially early 90s. Yeah.
Yeah. This is 1992 is all get out.
Oh, yeah.
But that was the one last observation like was kind of on my mental list of things I got to get out there. It's like, dang, '90s actually did have a flavor. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, it did. Yeah. And,
So good movie, folk.
yes, good movie.
Thumbs up.
Yep.
As long as you can deal with cynicism and some legitimately offensive language. Oh, did you think it was funny that they bothered so that the Chinese woman at the restaurant who took their coats at the start?
Yeah.
Did you notice that she got like billing in the opening credits?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I kind of kept it like I kind of like I thought, okay, she's up there. When is she coming back? No, it's because there's so few actors that everybody got billing in the
Yeah.
opening credits.
Well, and it's the only woman billed in the whole movie too.
Yeah, this is definitely about like it's I guess it's like the closest in professional life you can get to a war movie to an extent.
Yeah.
Like they're stuck in the trenches or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But what this movie definitely taught me, I'm glad I am not in sales.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. Oof. I I I wouldn't have lasted I wouldn't last a day in sales.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
I
guys, I think that marks the end of our Glengarry Glen Ross review. So we're closing this out, which I guess means we can have a coffee now.
yes. Yeah, yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it as always.
Yep.
Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, hit the bell for notifications. And oh, real quick announcement, no show next week. I have a little bit of a trip that I'm going on, so we'll be off, but we will be back the following week. So
Yep.
yeah, so take care, everybody. Good night.
Good night.